Okay, this is a video about my old best friend, um, my first best friend. His name is Blake. At first, our friendship was fine, but over time, he started showing cracks that made me rethink everything. It started with something small, like playing League together, and I hate losing, by the way, so I would get angry when we lost. He knew this and would intentionally make bad decisions from time to time to provoke me. And I would call him out saying things like, "Why are you doing this?" And he would say, "Maybe I just want to have fun." And I'd ask, "Is losing fun to you?" And he'd say, "No, but I'm having fun, so I don't care." It was frustrating because I cared about winning in teamwork and cooperation, and he didn't care that his impact was affecting the rest of us. A lot of my friends would actually refuse to play with him because of this. In fact, they would refuse to play with me because of it. They felt like he brought me down, and he was my best friend, so I actually just stopped playing with them. It was easier that way. I would rather play with my best friend than to play with these people who I thought, you know, weren't going to stick by me like he would. Things got worse, and he got in trouble with a neighbor one time for saying the N word. He just thought that it would be okay because me and him throw the word around. We used to throw the word around pretty liberally because I just didn't have any guardrails on my life. I didn't have any boundaries. And a lot of my friends actually took advantage of that. And he took advantage of it the most. He thought I would automatically defend him despite the fact that he just called a black man the N word. And I just didn't. And he got really upset when he was clearly wrong. Like, despite the fact that he was clearly wrong. That's when I realized a big problem. He didn't respect boundaries or accountability. He could do toxic things and just expected me to roll with it. That was his childhood. His parents, well, his mom mostly, was pretty mean. She would use and abuse you. God bless her soul. She's gone now, but she would use and abuse you, and she was pretty awful. And unfortunately, that's the person he became. He's just like her now, a user. Um, then there's his wife. Now, like they got married. Honestly, she never made any real attempt to meet me, and that's my biggest problem with her. Even knowing how strong our bond was, she would literally interrupt the time we had set aside, time he promised he would make for me, just so they could cuddle. And she would do that because she did not want to share him. It felt deliberate, and she wanted to drive a wedge between us. Combine that with him actually living with her, because he moved in with her because he lost his apartment. So he became basically totally subservient to her will. She had an absurd amount of he submitted a absurd amount of power over to her. Like they live in a racist state, or at least people have told me it's racist down there, and I shouldn't have gone on there as a black man. They live, I think, Whitwell, Tennessee, I think. Um, yeah, she made no real attempt to meet me, despite knowing how strong our bond was, and she would interrupt the time we would make. Combine that with, I'm just assuming she's racist. I met her, and she didn't seem racist to me. I don't know. I guess I don't want to assume that. It's a really terrible assumption to make. But she did drive tension and create friction between us that I definitely didn't sign up for. Over time, Blake became less and less present. He faded out, and looking back, it makes sense. He expected me to side with him no matter what. He was very entitled. He provoked me intentionally. He didn't respect me. He let outside factors interfere with our bond, and he didn't put in the effort to maintain the friendship. It wasn't about one fight or one incident. The friendship became emotionally unsafe, and the stress outweighed the connection. Now, something that is important, a factor that I haven't mentioned so far, is I have PTSD and schizoaffective bipolar type. Now, I used to be medicated for this. I've been in and outside of the sanctuaries to get myself to a point where I can live like I am now, unmedicated. Like I become manic very easily, but I have learned, I have got through therapy, through anger management, I have equipped myself with the tools necessary to manage my manic episodes. But I didn't have the best tool. I didn't have any tools at all for most of my time in the military and most of my time as a young adult. But despite this, despite being crashing out a lot of the times, those crash outs were valid. Every single crash that I've ever done in my life were valid. I've never crashed out for no reason. I don't think anyone ever crashes out for no reason. Usually there's a final straw, and most of the time it was Blake. And most of the time he knew he was triggering a response, and he's a chaos gremlin. He just likes to cause chaos, and it's always been that way. That's what I like about him. I met him in a old Beyond game, Build Your Own Dream game called FFO by Gakko Murasara, and I gave him a Bio Claymore. It's a tier 3 weapon out of 8 tiers, a tier 3 weapon, a tier 3 poison weapon that when you hit somebody, I think like 24% of the damage you deal gets ticked onto them as poison damage. So I gave him and it was a tier 3 Claymore, so it was like a tier 3 weapon. So it was a tier 3 poison, tier 3 physical weapon that if he could hit somebody, which he had terrible accuracy because he was a fighter, and not a knight, he was a fighter. If he hit somebody, he would deal massive damage, and then a portion of the damage he dealt would create poison ticks that tick down over time. So he got a couple of really good kills with that because he was unequipped. He had nothing, and people were just killing him left and right because the atmosphere was very hostile. So I gave him that. He got a couple kills, and he came back and told me about it. And we had some good times for days just off of those few kills he got. It was amazing. I saw his stuff. I saw a young man. I thought he was like way younger than me, but he was just like a few years younger than me. I saw a young man that I had thought would be a good friend, and that's how our friendship started. Things change, time passes, and what did I learn? Sometimes the people you think are your best friends aren't really your friends at all, and it's okay to let go. Real friendship doesn't drain you, manipulate you, or force you to condone toxic behavior. If your friendship is doing that, it's time to reevaluate. Thank you for listening, YouTube. If you've had a friendship like this or want to share how you've handled toxic friends, drop it in the comments. And remember, boundaries aren't just important, they're survival.